In this interview, I sat down with Vanesh, a trader living in Mexico who's been building out their track record with Darwinex Zero since September 2023. Vanesh's Darwin AHXJ is extremely impressive and has recently been promoted to compete in DarwinIA Gold. So stay tuned as we deep dive Vanesh's introduction to the industry, everything he's done since, and we come to see how he's built such a fantastic record in such a short space of time. Welcome, Vanesh. How are we?
All good, all good. Thanks for having me here.
Good man, good man. Let's dive straight in. So obviously I know a little bit about you and your background as a trader, but for anybody watching, can you give me kind of a 2-minute elevator pitch into your life, who you are as a trader, what got you to be kind of in the position that you're in, trading with Darwinex? We don't have to go too in depth because we'll kind of delve more into each topic as we go on in the interview, but I just want a quick elevator pitch.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'm a software engineer by profession, and all started through COVID. Like I think for most of the traders nowadays, it's something similar. So I actually sitting in the home, working from the home, and I love to play chess a lot. So I was going through it, and I was having some fun while my wife came in, and she saw me a lot of times that I am doing that. So she's the actually push, I will say, that who told me you should try trading and all, and that's how everything started with the trading. But while I started, obviously I didn't knew the real meaning of trading. I took it, I think, by like most of the people. So I started just jumping in and taking the trades, doing the things, and while doing it in demo, I really liked it. I was like, it's pretty easy, I can do it. So I some money in the real account, and I started trading. And while doing that, actually in the first 3 days I made 70%. Obviously no risk management, nothing. It's like beginner's luck, right? We all know that part. And then the main fall of the COVID started, and that's where everything comes to reality. and I lost what I have earned. I lost more, and that was the waking call for me, because I'm kind of stubborn by nature. So I decided to learn this instead of giving it up. And I started going through the things, checking internet and all, I think, again, like everybody does, and then trying to implement it, but didn't got the same results still, because, there is something missing. You can learn as much as you want, but I think in trading, sometimes it is good when you have a person who can guide you at a point, with their experiences, because nobody can give you experience through internet and all. So that was the part. So I started searching for the things, and somehow I was very much fascinated with this wave theory, because I tried all the concepts, but something was not fitting with my psychology, because as I told you, I'm a software engineer, so I like things logical way. And I'm not saying that other strategies or other systems are not logical, but it's the way I see that if I am seeing something, I should be able to identify every single time the same thing. Like, for again, with respect to all the systems, I'm not saying something is good or bad, but like for an order block, sometimes it holds, sometimes it doesn't hold. So it used to mess up with me. Like, how shall I trust a place? Like, how shall I define a methodology for that kind of thing? But then I came, that's the main reason that I have driven by this wave theory concept and all, and I started searching for the people. Initially, I was searching for obviously Elliott wave person, somebody knows or something, because I didn't know much about it. I started reading the book. But to be honest, it was something similar still, because how you will figure out that this is wave 2 or wave 4, because everywhere, how the market moves, everywhere there is something or the other in the move. It cannot move in a straight line. So that was also not that much giving me the confidence. So I started searching, and I found through YouTube this V-Trade waves, and I started following them up and all, and I really loved that part when I saw that their consistency over the weeks, how they are doing and all. So I waited for 3-4 months, to be honest, research how they are doing every week, how they are doing it. And then I decided, okay, let's put some investment, I will say. It's not money, I would say it's investment on myself. So I started to learn from them, and obviously that's where I stick to one concept. Obviously I improvised after that because still it needed some psychological adjustments for myself, so I did that. But yeah, that's how everything started. Okay, and since last 2 years or so, I am feeling that I am doing okay. I am in the path, in the right track. So yeah.
That's an extremely humble I mean, we'll get into this in much more detail, but from seeing your record, I think that's an extremely humble way of outlining kind of success as a trader. But I want to roll it back slightly before we get to kind of your current situation now. Obviously, you said your partner was kind of pushing you towards trading. Was that your initial, was that the first initial access to the market that you'd had, or exposure to the market, or had you kind of seen it before and not really thought about it, or had you tried it and it didn't work? What was that kind of that final push from your partner? Was that kind of the first time you saw it, or?
Yeah, that was kind of first time I got aware about this thing, because see, first thing, I'm from a middle class family, right? So I have this mentality of being safe. So I always thought in the jobs, 9 to 5 job, risk are like something which is dangerous for me. That's how I used to think. So putting money in trading or in these kind of things, I didn't really know the true meaning of that at that time. So I never thought about it. But on the other hand, my wife is from economical background. So, she studied economics, and also she was always fascinated by these things. So yes, that was the first time trigger that she pushed me, and I'm thankful that she realized my potential in this area, because I didn't know how I will do, right? But
yeah,
she always tells me that I always knew that you will be good in this. So yeah, that was the first time.
But I think it's interesting that you spoke about you like playing chess, and that's where your partner could sort of see your ability, or I guess your capability to, one, deal with pressure, two, always thinking a step ahead, and three, just kind of operating. I wouldn't say chess is high performance in terms of its intensity, but as a mental stimulation, there's not many games or activities that you can do that really make you think about your opponent and who you're up against. Very similar to trading. I mean, I like chess. I don't play it very often, but I've always enjoyed the game. I mean, we'll have to sit down and have a game after this. I'm sure you'll absolutely smoke me. But did you ever play chess sort of competitively, or was it always just a hobby?
I always play like a hobby, actually. I like this game since my childhood, but I never got a chance to take it professionally. But when I grew up, I have all the time, after I started working, and also. So I joined this online chess kind of thing, and I used to play it often. Actually, I do it now also, because whenever I am not in the right space of my mind while I'm doing trading or something, or when I wake up in the morning, I love to play a game or two to wake up myself and be awake of how I am going to think about all day. So yeah, I still do it. I still play that.
And do you think that kind of plays a part in your, not necessarily your strategy, how you approach the market, but do you think it plays a part in your psychological strategy when you're trading?
More or less, I will say not exactly, because psychological aspect, again, we know that it's all about how you are feeling today, right? And then you can implement it with the trading. So yes, I'm naturally a happy go person. So I don't feel stress. I don't feel bad about the things. I believe in the positivity. But yes, whenever I feel okay, something is not going good in the trading. Yeah, for example, I have a loss or something, or I'm not able to figure out few things that I could be figuring out at the right time. So I take a break, and that break I utilize. Either I will play the chess. If I can go out, I will go out. So that's how I try to maintain my psychological perspective. Like I like to step back and take a break from the trading at that time, and chess helps me with that when I have nowhere to go. So yes, it but not exactly in that way.
Which is a great capability to have, is being able to understand when you're not in the right frame of mind and having an option to kind of step back and be like, well, I'm going to put my energy and my attention into this, whether it's a game. I like playing games. Again, I don't game too much, but sometimes if I've been in a bad mood or I just need that detox from charts, the screen, if I've had a poor, usually a day wouldn't bother me, but if I've had a bad week or month, I'll be like, I need to go and have a little bit of a de-stress, so I'll go and play some games as well. So it's kind of nice to know that, you know, somebody else has that similar process where it doesn't have to always be, you know, I've had a bad week, I need to figure out everything that went wrong, I need to be in the right headspace now. But instead it's more of a, I'm going to go and revert back to life, away from the screens, do something that calms me down and that I enjoy, and then come back when I'm in the right frame of mind, rather than going force myself to take a position or to I don't even like journaling my trades when I'm in a bad mood, because I'll be writing the notes and I'll be like, you're an idiot, you shouldn't have taken the trade, there were so many things wrong. Whereas when you come back with clarity, you kind of look at it and you go, well, I understand what I was feeling at the time. The chart looked like it had set up like, you know, X, Y, and Z, or I took it because this news release had just come out better than expected, you know, or 100 different reasons why you might have taken a trade. But let's roll it back again to kind of when you was fresh to the game, when you first come in. What were some of the biggest mistakes that you made as a beginner trader? And I also want you to kind of dive a little bit deeper and tell me how you overcome them.
Okay. So I think my mistake is very similar like most of the traders, but I think most of the traders have repeated it. But it is the same. I thought it's a overnight get rich scheme kind of a stuff, and I can make a lot of percentage, you know, in a month. Okay, people are doing 10, 20, I can do 10, 20, and you know, this will change everything. I don't need to do anything else, and it will be great and all that stuff. So the first major mistake that I did, thinking in that way, and obviously thinking that what I'm gonna do, it is enough of the knowledge that I have available on the internet for free, or you know, implementing that just right away. It is something easier to do, you know. And the reality is, making money in this way, be it any profession, it's never gonna be easy. So that was one of the biggest mistakes that I did. I could say that I thought that it is some kind of gambling instead of real understanding the real meaning of trading. So I think that's
hey, let me stop you there for a second. Can you define the difference between gambling and trading? I only want you to say it now because we're on topic. What would you say is the key difference between trading and gambling, or professional trading, let's say, and gambling?
Well, I would say in that the main difference that I have derived from this is, when you do gambling, when you are going for the gambling, you know, like I know most of the people say risk management, but I would not say the same, because I think gamblers also do risk management. They know how much they can lose on that night, you know. But gamblers don't think in the long run that if they will do this consistently every night, they will be able to reach their, you know, certain goal. They don't think that, okay, if I'm doing 5% today, I should rest, I should give it away. They get pumped with it and they want to do it more. That's I think the gambling mindset. But with trading, when you know that you are in a profession, you are doing it professionally, you don't think of, you know, what you are going to do in this day or in this week or this month. You start thinking in the long run, where you will be after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, how you will be doing it consistently. And gamblers can never think like that. So yeah, that's the main difference I would say that I have derived from that.
Okay, perfect. I had to interrupt you because I thought you started to say a really interesting point, and I just wanted to hear your opinion on it. So go back to what you was talking about. You was talking about your mistakes when you first started out, and that you was kind of trying to detach from the fact it was gambling, or that it wasn't gambling. So talk to me kind of how you got over that and how you figured out that actually there is a profitable edge in this if I stick to it and learn how to trade, moving forward. What was that process like for you?
Well, I will say that it's a simple mentality, or I would say psychology, that when I lost my account, when I blocked the account, it hit me back, right? And then I realized I'm doing something wrong. And then when I started searching through the internet, and still I was not getting the results. I started to think it even more, still something is missing. So I will say that was my wake up call to understand that I have to learn it properly before putting real money in the market. So that was the important part to understand that what I'm doing is completely wrong somewhere. I know the concepts the people are telling. I know what is this, what is that. I can implement it, but still it is not working. Why? So that was the real wake up call for me to understand, that I'm doing something wrong. It's not the way I'm looking at it. It's something missing. So that was the main part of it, I would say. And I got lucky actually, because after blowing up the account, this bull run of cryptos started, and I put something there and I recovered what happened. But I was feeling thankful about it, so that I can use that money to put it proper place this time. So I never did that mistake again, and I believe strongly in this approach till today, that whenever you do mistakes, it's not bad if you know how to learn from it. So mistakes are not bad. I will never say mistakes are bad if you have the ability to learn from your mistakes. Because if you are not learning from it, obviously you are going to destroy it. Everything, whatever you do, if you keep on repeating the mistakes. But if you can learn from it, then it is a game changer. Because I think there is nobody who has done no mistakes in life.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I think it's very difficult to progress and to move forward without making mistakes. Even if I know you mentioned earlier having somebody to guide you, like a mentor, which I completely agree with. Everybody is in any industry, any career should always have a mentor to teach them the ropes. And your mentor, their job isn't to kind of get you to avoid these mistakes. For example, if you blow up an account, the mentor shouldn't be there to be like, I told you not to blow up an account, you shouldn't have done that. But instead to go, this is how you overcome that problem. You couldn't learn my mistakes, right? You had to do it yourself. However, here's how I got past it when I made that mistake. And this is how you should approach that situation as well, which is really interesting, because so many traders try and avoid mistakes rather than approaching them head on. And I mean, I've done my fair share, and I'll never be disheartened personally from an action that I've taken. If I blew an account, if I took a trade I shouldn't have, I'll never beat myself up about it, because I'm like, well, you did it, but this also presents an opportunity to learn from it, right? So talk to me about some of the kind of biggest lessons that you've had along the way, where you've had to take a step back and had to look at it and go, I really need to not do this again. Have you had any moments like that in your career?
No, to be honest, I don't regret about anything. I think whatever is being done, it was supposed to be there so that I can be here where I am today. So I won't regret about anything. Yeah.
It's a great answer, right? I think actually it's quite a logical answer, because when you look at the success that you're having now, you attribute it to your journey on the road to where you are now. So changing things, you might not have become the trader that you are today if you hadn't have made the mistakes, or you hadn't have done the silly things that you might go, oh, I was a bit reckless there, I shouldn't have done that. But you did, and eventually it's led you to here. So let's talk about kind of where you are today. You've been trading with Darwinex since September 2023, is that correct?
Yeah.
So what was your initial interaction with Darwinex? How did you hear about us guys, or Darwinex Zero, I should say? How did you hear about us guys, and what led you to get started with us?
Well, I was, again, I think I can resonate with many traders that I was one of the victim of the storm that MFF, and I had a couple of accounts with them, and after that, whatever happened, I analyzed that part and everything, and I realized that this is the time to diversify my portfolio, because this is not something I can rely forever in my life if I want to go professionally in trading. So I needed something where I can see in long term how I can grow. It's not about returns, it's not about money, it's about growing professionally in trading. So I wanted that kind of a platform where I can grow myself with this career. So I started searching on the internet. I was obviously I like to search a lot on YouTube stuff and all. I see different videos and all. And that's how I came across DarwinX in one of that. And it actually took my interest, because when I was going through it, I saw, okay, 15% and all, and I already provide this copy strategy on CTrader and all. So I know this is the market standards. 15-20% is market standards where you have been paid for the performance. So I felt it, okay, it is appropriate and everything, but in the long run, where I can be. And when I saw the top trader and everything, and I saw, okay, people can trade with 30 million, 10 million, 5 million. This is a game changer. The prop firm cannot give that. On the top of that, I am trading with somebody, and I am with somebody who is regulated completely. So I have no risk of wasting my time on some platform. So all those things, when I incorporated and all, I was like, this is the right thing to go for. And that's how I really joined DarwinX. Actually, I tried to search after DarwinX also a little bit more, so I can find something similar, again, to diversify more. But I think DarwinX is the only one the way they are. There is nobody in the industry so far. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the ecosystem that we have at DarwineX Zero, because for anybody that's unaware, but I'm sure every listener knows this, we have DarwineX Exchange, right, which is where you utilize a live account and you become presentable on the marketplace to investors. But we built DarwineX Zero only 12 months ago. DarwineX Exchange has been going for 12 years, I believe. DarwineX Zero has only been around for 12 months. Okay, but in that time, because the industry is changing and there's so much virtual capital trading with, funding companies and stuff, we spotted an area that we can benefit more traders who don't necessarily have the live capital to go and put it into a broker account and trade it, or they're not quite there yet, reducing the risk exposure on their behalf to build their record with DarwinX Zero. And then maybe in 2 years' time, that might be when they get presented to investors. But in the meantime, you've got the seed allocation route as well of DarwinIA Silver and DarwinIA Gold. It kind of filled a gap in the market that wasn't there. And for somebody to come in and replicate it, it's going to take them 12 years, because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
Yes.
It kind of gets to me when somebody jumps in the Discord or jumps on Twitter and they're like, what's this prop firm about? I'm like, it's not a prop. There's so many layers behind the scene. You've got the risk engine, you've got the investor marketplace, you've got DarwinIA. There's so many different layers to the DarwinX ecosystem that it's kind of an insult to just say, what can this prop provide me? What's it? Why is it better than others? It's all about being a part of your portfolio and exploring every avenue. As selfishly as a trader, why would you not try and grow your assets under management in every route possible, right?
And actually for that, I would say, as you mentioned about the risk engine, it's, I think, one of the very interesting thing for a trader, how you can actually take benefit of that in your real trading life. Because, okay, what people do, journaling, metrics, reading and all, and then they try to understand where they are lacking. The risk engine is actually helping you with all that automatically. If you see some, because see, when you are trading, it is automatically aligning your trading strategy with the risk that should be appropriate for the person or for the investors. That is giving you a clear idea what should be your risk. And that you can implement anywhere. So this is something I literally took advantage of that part in my other accounts, and I adjusted my risk as per that risk engine, and that is helping me a lot, because that is something I took from all the trading resources that is available with DarwinX, and I would say this is commendable. Like, this is something really, really nice that DarwinX has. The risk engine is not for understanding that, okay, how much more risk I can take to take the profits. No, take it in a way that to understand your strategy. What is the correct risk for your strategy? That tells clearly. Nobody can tell that actually. So this is something I would say diamond, hidden in DarwinX for any trader to understand that part and implement in their day-to-day trading.
Well, the difference between the risk engine and everything that you're saying there, like when it comes to optimizing your risk, is you can back test, or you can look at your journal and you can say, my max drawdown was X percentage, right? That's all historical data, which is great. Don't get me wrong. And that's how you build a system.
Yeah.
But the risk engine tries to target a VAR, or value at risk, at 6.5%, which is looking forward instead of looking back. So it's trying to judge and keep your future risk under 6.5% value at risk.
Sure.
And the reason that's different is because it takes a look at your system and it goes, what is the worst case scenario that can happen, and what is the best case scenario, and where are you and how do you compare? Whereas when you look at your journal, let's say you've got a 10-year trading journal, fantastic, and I would advocate everybody to have one, but it's only going to tell you what happened in previous market conditions.
Sure.
Whereas the risk engine is going to update as you grow as a trader. It's going to look back at your new trading decisions, and it's kind of going to recalibrate and go,
Yes.
oh, Vanesh is now risking more per position, but only when he's trading euro dollar and not trading pound dollar. So it will recalibrate and again project that forward instead of just looking back and taking historic data, which I think it's really interesting. And like you say, it's a kind of a diamond in the rough in this industry, but I think you have to embrace it, and you have to look at it and say, again, it's there to benefit you as a trader, but also if your goal as a trader is to get in front of big investors don't want a 30, 40, 50% drawdown for a 200% return. They would most likely rather have, like you have on your Darwin so far, 30% return with a 4% drawdown, which by the way is phenomenal. And I want to commend you for that, because for anybody who hasn't seen Vanesh's Darwin ticket, it's AHXJ. And it is one of the best records that I've seen to date. So my hat's off to you, Vanesh. It's fantastic. And just touching on that, I think your historical seed capital allocation so far has been 355,000 euros. So talk to me a little bit about the DarwinIA program and how it's helped you kind of stay on track month in, month out, where you know that you're getting this allocation and you're earning performance fees. How's that kind of helped you stay locked in and focused?
Well, again, as I told you earlier, like when I started DarwinX, my main goal was to see it in the long term. I was not looking for short-term profits this month or next quarter or something. I was not really looking for that part. My goal was to get the investors and grow from there. So obviously, the allocations and the performance fees sharing from the allocations help me to be calm on my side while I'm paying the subscription. Like it's easily you can get that much of amount what you're paying to the DarwinX, actually much more than that if you are consistent. So that stuff really helped me in that way, I would say, because it makes my risk absolutely zero while I'm building my track record. So that is the main reason or main help, I will say, with the allocations at that point of time, because my goal was never to get 30K allocation or 100K allocation. I never looked into that. I always want those millions of investment with my Darwin. So that is my goal. So this is something for me, okay, on the way, helping me to just keep on going towards that goal. So that's how I see these allocations, at least for myself. But obviously, it is very helpful because it allows trader to get something in return while they are building to that goal.
Of course, and which, like you say, makes your net risk zero, or even, it's a positive EV, because you're looking at it and you're saying you're paying a subscription of 38 euros a month. However, you're exceeding that in performance fees anyway. So you're actually getting paid more than you paid whilst building a record that eventually is going to be presented to investors, and something that you can keep for life and, showcase to whoever you want to, and stick it on your wall if you want, So what's your plans moving forward? Obviously, we know that you've got a fantastic track record, and from the way your record looks, I can't imagine that you're just going to go and mess it up in one trade. You're not that kind of person. So what's your long-term goal with your Darwin? How do you want it to progress, and what kind of AUM, let's say, with DarwineX would you be not happy with, but would you go, okay, now we're in the big leagues?
Okay, so I will tell you this part. With the DarwinX, first thing, as I told you, my goal is to get the investors, because that's where everything starts. Now, with respect to the profits and all, I really don't push myself to get the profits, because market is not in my hands, right? So if I will start pushing, I will ruin something badly. So I don't go for that. And that's why I like this quote a lot, and I try to implement it in my trading life, that the goal of a successful trader is to make the best trades. It's not money. Money is secondary. So this is something really, really important to understand. And that's how I try to follow in my trading, that I'm not really behind the percentage what I'm making in a month. And this thing I need to understand sometime, and I think other people also have to understand this, that you should not compare yourself with other traders. The moment you start doing that, you are messing up, because everybody has a different appetite. Everybody is doing different. Maybe somebody is making 10% this month, and next month they are blowing up. There is no reason to compare yourself with anybody else who is doing great. You have to just focus on yourself. It's you versus you in trading. It's nobody else to be compared with. It's not like a normal sports, right? Like you have better stats than somebody else. No, it's about how consistently you can approach. You have to be turtle. You should not be don't try to be a rabbit. It's in that kind of a mode. You should go slow towards your goal consistently, and that will be a game changer, completely game changer. So that's how I look towards it, to slowly approach that goal. And once I will be there, obviously the next is DarwinX Pro, and going for the other investors, outside investors, at DarwinX Pro also allows. Or maybe I will think of something else, which right now I am keeping it on, and stand. I am not going to think about it right now, because it's a lot more. So that is one part. Second part is, I really like appreciations more than money somewhere. And I don't talk about appreciations from everybody else, appreciation from myself. When I sit in the evening, I wake up in the morning, I should feel happy about what I'm doing in my life. So something like that, something I can get into this industry, recognizable level, that people recognize me, what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, that will make me more happy. And that I cannot do making 10%, 20% every month. That is only consistency, where we all know. So that's why I follow that path. I'm not behind money right now. I'm behind getting that consistent profits. So that's how I'm approaching towards it.
Yeah, I like that. That, I mean, it keeps going back to the fact that you've got that long-term perspective, and kind of being able to drown out the noise of the short-term potential to make profit, which actually brings up a good point, which I want to get your opinion on. For a new trader who is constantly barraged with advertisements from brokers or from funding companies or from influencers, talking about, I made 20 grand this month, and, DM me how to learn how, or DM me teach and I'll send you a guide. I think there becomes this fascination with our job as traders that, oh my God, I'm going to start trading, and I'm going to be the person, I'm going to be that rich person, I'm going to make all the money. How would you get somebody who's new to trading to manage their expectations and have a similar approach to you with that long-term vision?
Well, I would say a simple thing. If somebody can really make that kind of a money so easily, they will not have time to be on YouTube telling you to join them. They don't need. If I can make millions of bucks, why I have to try to bring you up with me? I don't need. I can do it myself. And trading is something like that. In trading, you don't need exactly 10 people doing the same stuff. Well, if you open a company and all, it's a different stuff. But if you are an individual trader, you don't need 2 more people to sit with you to do it. It's not a normal thing. So you can do it alone. If you have something like that with you, why you have to come to the internet and tell everybody join me? I don't see that reason literally in that way. And I think that is the main thing. The moment people try to tell you that they can make easy money, but they are looking for the people, it is something shady. for me. It's not going to be the same way, because no, there is nothing in the world that can give you easy money, as I already told you in the back, right? Gambling can give you in a night or so, but in the long run, again, you will feel where you landed up. So everything has consequences, right? So if somebody is telling on the internet that, okay, I made this much of money in a month or something, it's good for you. Why you are, taking people to go with you and make the same thing? I can understand if you need people to invest money with you, because then you are capitalizing your gains. But why you need more people to join you to do that? That is something different for me. So that is one reason that I myself, to be honest, it happened. I will tell you a story that there are a lot of shady schemes, right? Like you can get on WhatsApp or internet, a lot of people contact you, right? It goes a lot. So there is something similar happened with my partner, and she got this message that you put, for example, $1,000, and every month you will get $2,000, something like that. That was the scheme. It was, and she told me, and I was like, it's just impossible. It's impossible. Something can do that. Somebody can do that. So obviously, it's something shady. And literally, after I think 2-3 months, everything got shut down. People put money. It's gone. Some people got paid, obviously, because they have to show that they are true. But in the long run, it's gone. Somewhere MFF, you can say, I will not blame them completely, because I really don't know what happened internally. It's all the internet and all. But it's something similar, like if somebody is promising you a money that is not realistic from what you're putting in the market, it's obviously shady. It's not possible. So obviously one has to be aware of that. Now, this doesn't go with everybody, because maybe there are some people with good heart. They want to teach people. They want to do something good, right? There can be that part also. But for that, you have to really see the track records, what people are doing over years, over months. You cannot just go and join a person because they are telling, okay, I'm making 10%, 20% every month. This is unrealistic. It's impossible. I would say it's just impossible somebody can do that. They cannot have a record of even 5 months doing 10% every month. So it's something very, very shady. So obviously,
okay. So as a trader who is seeing the success like yourself, and who is walking the walk as well, what would because you talk about realism, what would a realistic day for you be like trading? Because obviously we see these guys on social media who are doing that, like portraying that lifestyle and saying trade from 20 minutes from your phone per day, or all you need to do is copy my trades, whatever the snake oil may be. It leads people to, again, see this false. I get embarrassed when I say to people that I'm a trader, because they automatically always think, oh, so you sit on your backside all day, you go on your phone, you place a trade, and then you do nothing for the rest of the day. And I'm like, I'm actually offended, because I don't leave my desk. I swapped a 9 to 5 for like a 5 to 9. Do you know what I mean? Like I work harder and longer now than I ever did before, but I think that gets drowned out. So talk to me about like a normal day for Vanesh. How do you come into the market in the morning? How do you approach a day, and what's your end of day routine as well? Because I think this will be really beneficial for beginner traders.
So yeah, so when I wake up in the morning, first thing is like, obviously I play with my kid and all to get a little bit freshened up, and then I go to make some tea. If not, my wife do that for me if I'm running late and all. Come to my office, open my system, I see different stuff, what are the messages and all. And as I told you earlier, if I'm not feeling all awake and all, I play a game or two of chess to make myself in that space. Now the thing is that obviously I work from home for my other job, so it allows me to do full-time trading. So it's like a controversial statement for me to say if I'm a full-time trader or not, because I would say I'm all the time here, and I feel my other job is a part-time job now. So there is something like
if you're doing them both full-time,
yeah, I'm all the time here in front of my system since morning 7 or 7:30 till late 8 p.m. But that doesn't mean I'm looking at the charts or I'm trading. So I do look at charts. I do other stuff. I do other researches. I read things. But I love to be here. I don't like to be somewhere else. And I have this thing, like, again, with no disrespect to the people who do in that way, and nothing is wrong or right, but myself, I can never trade from mobile. It's impossible for me. If I am not in front of my system, I cannot take a trade. It's inbuilt in me. I just not feel comfortable with it. I have to be in front of my system for working on it, so that I can see what risk I am taking, how I am going to manage it. In phone, I feel I cannot do the same stuff. So I have never taken a trade. Well, I will not use the word never, or I have never taken a trade since the time I learned to trade correctly. Because I did it in the starting. I did all that stuff in the mobile. But then when I realized for what I am in and for what I am aiming for, I literally started seeing it like a business. It's like a professional thing. It's not a sports, like you have to give the time. Obviously, you can have financial freedom. Obviously, you can do things whatever you want. If you don't want to work today, okay, don't do. That all the freedom that you want to have, you have. But you have to take it seriously. You have to do it like professionally. It's not something that you take lightly and just let it go. You can if you want, but you will not reap the same results that you want to go for. So that is the part. I would say that as you yourself says, that yes, it needs professional touch. It needs that commitment. It needs the sincerity towards it. And then obviously with time, you will be at a place that you can manage it, because managing risk when you are doing it day-to-day life, it will come to your normal life as well. Because at one point of time, you will start seeing, okay, if I'm taking one trade, this is how I'm managing. Next 4 days, I can take a rest. Like, let's go for the vacation or something. That will come through. But it is not right away. You have to work for that. So I completely agree with you that it needs somewhere professional touch. The way you do, it's somewhere very similar with me. Like, I come to the office and I love to be in my office when I'm trading. Like, I don't want to be in somewhere else doing it. I don't even feel comfortable if I am somewhere out and I am in the laptop, because like you might have seen many people in the internet, they are on the beach and trading. And this is unrealistic. You can do whatever you want. I'm not saying you cannot do that. But professionally, it is not the way it is going to be like that. I don't think so. Any professional trader, and I'm not talking about myself saying I'm professional or not, but I believe the people who are already legend in this, they are not doing that stuff anytime. So there needs a sincerity, it needs a commitment, it needs professionality towards this particular path. It's not you take out mobile or you go with a laptop on the vacations and you are doing trading. Come on, man. You can do some meetings and stuff, but it's unrealistic to have that kind of a mindset that you are doing all that stuff while being a trader. So that's how I see towards it, and that's how I approach for my day-to-day.
Yeah, and the last thing that I'm thinking about when I'm sat on the beach with a mojito is pulling up the euro-dollar chart and seeing where I buy or sell. I'm looking at the sea with my mint in my hand, and I'm enjoying life. But again, it's all that facade of this is the life you want to live, right? Who doesn't want to live on a beach, sipping drinks, and living that kind of life? So I understand why they do, but again, I'm exactly the same as you. I've got 4 screens set up at my desk. If I'm not here, I can trade from my laptop, but I have to be zoned in. I can't have the kids running around because I can't kind of lock in. And that's why I don't usually trade if I'm, for example, I'm in London tomorrow for the Darwinex Zero meetup, and I'll have a look at the markets on the way down on the train, but as soon as I'm out of kind of trade mode, I don't take a position because the risk is too high of me messing it up. But you actually said something really, really interesting that I think kind of gets glanced over by a lot of upcoming traders. And that's the fact that trading is so much easier when you have a stable income from a job. Now, that's really taboo to say in this industry because a lot of people don't like to admit that. and the quote unquote full-time trading a lot of the time gets substituted. And I'm not saying this from everybody, because I've met some fantastic traders who do make 100% of their living from trading. Even when you look at some of the bigger influential figures in the industry, a lot of them sell courses, which I have no issue with. I think, you know, the guys who have been trading for a long time and who've got experience should definitely be imparting that wisdom, as you would go to college to learn how to become a teacher or whatever profession you want to go into. You learn from someone who's done it. So I'm actually pro course and pro mentorship from the right people. But I think, and I don't know whether it's a marketing technique, it gets pushed as, I'm a full-time trader, I've quit the 9 to 5 and escaped the matrix. But like I say, it's usually subsidized by a business or a business idea. Talk to me how important, because I know it was for me, but talk to me how important you find keeping that job steady and stable, and how that affects your trading performance, if it does.
I 100% agree with you on that. Obviously, it helps me a lot because I know that I am going to get this at the end of the month. I have that peace of mind. You know, like I can run my family with that, and while I am focusing on this stuff, right? So that obviously allows me not to run behind the profits and being consistent, being stable in this. So it is very, very important. And you rightly said, like, if somebody is saying, you know, like, I quit my job for this and that, I mostly think maybe there is some other stuff, you know, or you can do that that kind of a decision when you know that how much investment you have with you and how much consistent you have for a long run. You know, when you have that kind of idea, then you can decide, okay, you know, even if I'm not doing that stuff, I can run it easily, even if I do 1%, 0.5% in a month. But if you are trying to think, okay, if I will do 5%, 10% in a month and I can run, you know, day-to-day expenses, it's unrealistic. It's very, very difficult. It will put you in a wrong place. And I always believe in that way, because there are many traders who think I will make 5% minimum per month. And that is one thing that I see somewhere wrong, at least for my psychology. You cannot put a, you know, roof for the trading aim, for the profits per month. What does that mean is you cannot say 5%, 10% minimum per month. This is a wrong mindset, because then you will start to take unnecessary risk if you are not able to achieve that goal. But you can do it otherwise. If you are saying, okay, if I will reach 5%, this account I will not trade, I will keep it safe. That is okay. That way is okay to see it as a ceiling. You know, like, but you cannot see it like, I have to achieve that minimum every month. And that is where everything starts, you know, getting messed up. So if you have an extra income, obviously it is allowing you not to think in that way. You don't need to think, I have to make this much minimum so that I can run my day-to-day expenses, because that income is helping you with that. And then you can literally, psychologically and professionally can focus on your trading. So it helps me a lot. It helps me a lot that I have some consistent income, and I can focus on trading professionally. And I'm specifically emphasizing the word professionally, because if I start to think I have to do this minimum, I think it will mess up. It will, you know, it will put you in a wrong space, and you will start doing mistakes.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head perfectly, where you said you can't set a minimum barrier for or a minimum sort of bar for what you need to make per month on your trade or your trading account, because you know as well as me, you might have one fantastic month or a couple of great months, and then you have a month where you might not be able to make a withdrawal, or you're going to draw down. And then you're kind of back at square one, and you've got to hope that the money that you made in the first 2 months covers that third month, because if it doesn't, you're now further sort of down the rabbit hole. And I think if you don't have that, and I'm not saying that full-time trading without anything else is bad, but sometimes it can bring out, like you said, it can bring out worse sides of you as a trader. You can take unnecessary risk, unnecessary trades, force positions. You can lose your head a little bit. It might affect your family life and your relationships. If I would say it's optimal for the younger trader who still lives at home with their parents and doesn't have a partner, doesn't have any responsibilities like children, many bills and stuff. If you're still lucky enough to be in that situation, go for it, experience it. But I guarantee somewhere down the line, unless you become crazy successful, you'll probably go full circling, come back to a career of sorts, and trading becomes a supplement. I look at guys, you know, people like Lance Breakstein, who is one of my, you know, idols in the industry. He's worked for hedge funds for years and years and years, and he's a trader for those hedge funds. But to me, that's still a career. He's not kind of a full-time retail trader. He still goes into the office every day and still works from the office and still builds out the hedge fund, trades for the hedge fund, still has those KPIs. And I kind of think if the guys at the top are still doing it, granted it's a little bit different, what makes it different for us? And when the statistics are so high and retail traders fail, you're kind of cutting yourself short by getting rid of that stable income too prematurely, right?
Yes, that's correct. Because as you said, hedge fund managers or the people who are working with the hedge fund, obviously they have a fixed income. And when they are doing good trading, they are getting bonuses. So it's something like similar, right? If you have a fixed income and if you are doing good in trading, it's a bonus for you. So that's the reason, like, if you are not able to get that part, if you are not having that peace of mind, it is gonna play with you badly. And as you said, yes, young minds, I would say it's a very, very good position in your life when you can start trading, because you are not having a different polluted mindset, you know, like polluted by like, oh, I have to save this, I have to do this. You are very young in that area. So you can fully focus on making money. So that can, if you get a right person to get mentored from, because obviously if you are young, you can think also, I will make every month this and I will do this and that. But if you need, if you have a right guidance with you, who can tell you, okay, this is the approach that you should go for, I think you can grow up like anything, you know, like from younghood, it's a best career, I would say, to start with, because you are very fresh and you can get to the things. And it happens with many people when, like I have seen in the community also, when people come from some conceptual part, right? They know some concept and all, and you are telling them, okay, this is how you can do. It's very hard for them to learn. So if you already have something in your head, it's very hard to adapt to a new thing. And that is the advantage with the young people, that they don't have anything like that. You know, they are living with parents, they are free, they can go for that fully. So that is very much true. And at the same time, they don't have a worry of a stable income and all, because they are dependent. They don't have to run a family. So that is the difference with them. Yeah.
And that's a really great point about, I mean, it's kind of a 2-point thing where young people, they are just sponges because they're still getting all that life experience and they don't have the responsibility and the worries. And it's a great time in your life to take risks, not unnecessary risks, but it's a great time to dip your toe in, you know, the pool of risk, if you will, and go and experience things like quitting your job and trying to trade for a period of 6 to 12 months. If you do great, fantastic. If you don't do great, cool. You're still 17, 18, 19. You've got your whole life ahead of you. But I think the other great point that you kind of alluded to is having somebody come to you and you're trying to help them or teach them, and they've already got preconceived notions or concepts about the market. The difficulty sometimes isn't telling them your approach and how they should do things, but it's actually unwinding and unraveling what's in their mind, clearing it out and making space for new information. So when you are in that zone and you're teaching somebody or speaking to somebody and you're trying to help them, but they're so stuck with what knowledge they've already got in their head, what process do you go through to try and clear out the old information to make way for the new?
Well, I would say I don't have real process behind it, because it's really difficult for me to make somebody unlearn what they already know, except the fact that I can show them that if you only stick to this concept or only one part, how you can do with it. So my approach towards it and my suggestion to those people is always the same, like, practice what you learn, make the structures and all by hand and everything. And once you are done with it, whatever you learn, you can bring it back and add as in Confluence if you would like to do that. But initially, don't try to go the other way, that you already know and then you are trying to adapt this concept. So if you are going for a new concept, go with full mind that you want to learn something. It's not about something that you are going to add. When you learn that part, because see, if you are going to learn something and you think you have a full system, why you are going for it? You don't need. It's not something, you know, you have to do engineering, you have to go for PhD, then you have to do this. You don't need all that in engineering, in trading, right? So if you already know, if you already have a working system, why you are going for a new one? And if you are going for a new one, you know that you need somewhere something better working. So when you go for that, go with the full mind that, okay, you want to learn something new, and then add up the knowledge, whatever you have. Now, being said that, I also believe in this, that adding a lot of confluences just ruin the trading system. This is another way I look at it. And this also I tell a lot to the people in the community that, see, we all know famous Mark Douglas, right? And his quotes that it's about series of trades instead of a single trade or two, right? But people don't understand the real meaning behind it, that it is being called series of trades. Series of trades doesn't mean just you take 100 random trades. Series is something when there is a relation between one and the second trade and the third trade. Series becomes like that when you have relation between each trade. So now when you have a lot of parameters in it, it is very hard to do the same thing consistently 100 times, 1,000 times, because every time some parameter will make it fluctuate, right? So when you have the least parameters in your trading system, you can very well follow that concept of following the series of trades, because you are doing everything consistently the same way every single time. Then you find the real results. And this is actually really, I learned at one point of time in my trading that I was trying to do different things, but I cannot relate one trade with the other. I don't know what I did wrong here. I can figure it out independently, but I don't know how I can relate with this trade or with the next trade, because I have so many parameters, I have so many confluences. So I think it's a normal psychological perspective of everybody that we start to think when we have a lot of confluences, we are going with a very good trade, with the best trade, with the higher probability. And that's not true. So you need to see how you can make the system simplest possible. Don't have a lot of parameters. You can add one or two if you like, and follow it consistently. Like, there should not be any if or but. You should be mechanical towards it, that if that is happening, you know what action you have to take. And if that is not happening, you should know what action you don't have to take. And this, once you start doing it, you will start to figure out the differences, what was going wrong. And it happened with me, like, for example, even in today's date, it happens sometimes, because it's very hard to control your psychology and emotions completely, right? Like, sometimes it hits you back. So it happens, like, for example, I don't trade at a certain time, like, for example, 2 hours before the market rollover, I stop trading. I don't like to take trades, even if I see the very good setup and everything. I sit back and I try to control myself. Now, it happens that I took a couple of trades during that time, despite of having my rules, and I suffered that part. And yesterday only it happened. I was sitting in the front of system and I saw a good setup in Bureau Horse, and I decided, okay, I can go for it. But then I realized it is happening after my time, and I didn't do. And literally, market didn't move from there till today. So this is something, obviously, you can do in the favor also when you are taking the decisions. But when you follow those rules, when you stick to those parts, and you keep it simple, you will find out that you are, trading is easier. In that way, trading is easier, because you are not making it complex, and you are going with a simple theory. If you are seeing something 1, 2, 3, you are taking the steps. But if you will add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then you are confused. Oh, this is not adding, this is not adding, and this will mess up with you. So yes, go for the new system. But if you have a working system, it is not necessarily that the system is not working. It might be your psychology and might be your confluences that is messing up with it. So The real meaning of series of trades, we have to understand. It's not about taking just 100,000 trades. It's about the relational way of taking the trades. It should be related every single trade in that series. Then only you can come to a real point and result of those trades. So that's the way I try to tell, and I try to adapt myself, that I needed to find a way where I don't have confluences. Literally, I used to have a lot of confluences. I used to use OBs, FBG, everything. And now I just take out everything and I just stick to the structures and nothing else. I don't care about anything else. And it helps me. It helps me in decision making and going and analyzing, okay, what wrong I did, what else I can do. So this is one part that we have to understand, I think, and this is what I suggest to everybody.
Yeah, I love that, and kind of you know, stripping everything back, because it's like we said at the beginning, or in fact I think it was before we started recording, we was talking about how a lot of people have this misconception that the more knowledge the better, and you can become sort of paralyzed or analysis paralysis, I guess, where you think, you know, if you've added 10 confluences to a system, 5 of them might say you need to go long here with serious conviction, and then the other 5 might say, whoa, we don't want to be long in here, you need to go short. And you can kind of get that paralysis where you're like, I've added that much to the system that I actually have blindsided myself and I don't see a clear path forward. And I think every trader goes through that to a degree, especially in the early days when you just start throwing indicators on TradingView or onto MetaTrader, and you're like, let's see what they all say. All the volume indicators are pointing up. Let's go long. But just really quickly, I don't want to dive into your system too much because obviously it's personal to you. But do you just trade one asset and one time frame, or do you trade a multitude of different assets?
I trade multiple assets, but I don't trade all the assets. I have chopped down. Actually, I used to do because once you know the system, you're like, I can see trade here and there, but it's again, it's a negative side of trading, I would say. So I trade 6 to 7 pairs mostly, and in that also, because my trading system is something that I may not get trade every day, every week. Yeah. So it allows me to have the time to look into those pairs and decide whether the trade is emerging from there or not. And another thing that whenever the week starts, I do analysis for all the pairs in some way, and then I add, okay, there is a potential, trade emerging in this week, and then I add that to my watch list and I start looking at it. So I trade mostly 6 or 7 pairs, and I add 1 or 2 in that way when I see some potential is emerging. But those 6 and 7 pairs, I would say, is also not regular anymore, because as I said, it's hard for me to get trades now and then in those pairs also. So it's like more or less keeping simple. I'm not going for all the pairs. Try to chop down the pairs as much as I can, know their behaviors, and then trade with them. And regarding the time frames, I trade few time frames, but I never go below 15 minutes. I keep 15 minutes as my lowest time frame, and I can take trade in 15, 1 hour, 4 hours. Daily I don't take, but daily confluence, obviously I need to know that how the daily structure is emerging to understand where the market can go in the long run. So I need that 4 hours and daily confluence as a structure. And when the 15 minutes and 1 hour aligns with that, that's where I can go for the trade. If it is not aligning, even if I am seeing, okay, short term, it can come down, I will not go for it. I will still look for the buy. I will leave that trade as a sell, and I will only focus on buy. So I filter out what trades I have to take, and I wait patiently for that part. And smaller time frames, obviously, I tried even seconds and 1 minute while I tried to do pure scalping. It's good, it works, but it's not for my psychology. I just cannot handle that much of things happening in a couple of minutes. It's just my psychology. It works for some maybe, but for me, it's not my cup of tea. I cannot do that. So that's why I stick 15 minutes as the lowest time frame.
I'm completely the same. I think it takes, and again, a concept that's not always discussed by many people is that one system isn't going to work for everybody. So you clearly have a great edge, but you might teach 1,000 people and only 10 people might be able to trade it as well as you, because you might have people who prefer a more fast-paced environment in the market. You might have people who prefer a longer environment, and therefore would become an investor as opposed to a trader. And I think it often gets overlooked, and that's why people strategy hop and jump from community to community or mentor to mentor, because a lot of the time they feel that their system is missing something. But in reality, sometimes you just don't gel with a trading system. And I even know if I don't gel with a system because I don't enjoy trading it. And I know that sounds a bit weird, but I've had systems in the past where my performance has been really high and I trade very well, but I get bored as hell. And there's no chance that I can come in, day out, and sit there and trade a system that I don't enjoy trading.
So,
and even that's a bit strange to go, well, you performed well, you was making money, I still didn't enjoy it. And I think it's so important that you've got to enjoy what you do, especially when you're gonna, let's face it, the market is brutal and it's gonna slap you about on a daily basis sometimes, and you've got to really love doing what you do to keep coming back and taking that beating from the market, so that's my 2 cents on that. But we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to ask you one more question, but I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it. So usually I ask something along the line, what advice would you give to a new trader? But since you've been trading with DarwineX Zero for some time now and you've got a decent record with us, what advice would you give to, they don't have to be a new trader, but new to DarwineX Zero, who are coming from the funding firm space and they're looking for a more long-term approach to their trading career? What's 3 pieces of advice that you would give to them when starting their Darwin to take advantage of DarwineX Zero?
Well, the very important part is that they have to first understand and realize that it is not about 1 month or 2 months. They have to accept that part. They should go for what I can get in a month, because I think that's where the people start comparing prop firms and DarwineX, that they are giving 80%, they are just giving 15%. Obviously, the business model is different, and I'm not going in the depth of what type of business one is trying to do, right? So we all are mature enough to understand that part. But the thing is, if you really want a career in trading instead of profits in trading, it's a different perspective. If you really want to create a career out of trading, you have to think in long run. And when you are thinking in long run, you have to decide yourself, can you be with a prop firm which is not regulated and all the drama that is happening in this industry right now, or you want to go with somebody who is regulated, who can give you that track record, who can take out the headache of going for the investors, because not everybody can do that stuff, right? So you don't have the headache of that, and eventually you can grow up as your own investment company through DarwineX, which will help you with the license and everything. So you have to understand what is your goal. Your goal is 2 months, 3 months down the line, getting 20-30% profits, or your goal is long run, making it like a career throughout your life. So it's all up to you what you want to do. And if you decide for the long run, then you are at the right place to start with DarwineX. You should not think what I'm getting today, what I'm getting in the next month. And believe me, if you try to do that consistently, instead of thinking on the profits, you will start to get allocations. And when you will start to get allocations, you will not feel heavy on your pocket as well. Whatever you are paying, it is coming in. So even if you want to do something else, you can do it very well. And at the same time, you're building your track record if you're consistent with the DarwineX. So in the long run, you have something stable with you. And eventually you have not wasted your time with somebody who disappears. So this is the one important point that you have to understand. It's about money or about the time you are investing somewhere. And if you value your time, you have to understand that you need companies like DarwineX to stay with and build your record instead of going with prop firms. And I'm not saying that I am not doing it. I am also having some prop firm accounts, but I don't know when they will shut down. I just don't know. I have no guarantee with that. Now, any company can go with that, but at least I have the security with DarwineX that it is regulated. It is in long run in the industry, right? 12 years or something. So those kind of things, if I am taking out from somewhere, it gives me relief. And with time, eventually, if I'm building my track record, that nobody can take away from me, even if the company is gone. So once I have track record, once I have investors with me, they know that, okay, this guy do the trading properly. I have my career set. I am not dependent on any company. But that starting, who will give me? A prop firm, I cannot get it. It's only a firm like DarwinX. And as I said, I don't know about others, but the only one that I know right now is DarwinX. And I love that I'm with it. And I really like my decision to be with it. And I'm not saying it to, to make you feel happy or DarwinX Zero feel happy. It's the real truth. I really like the decision and I really happy about it, because I can see with the long run, I can really make full use of my skills instead of being somewhere where it will be, in dark somewhere at some point of time, because we don't know what is going to happen. So that's one advice, and that is the main advice that I want to give to everybody, that if you are seeing this thing in a long run, if you value your time, you should stick to it and think in long run. Don't think what profits you're making in a month or 2 months or 3 months. I don't think so that 38 euros are getting heavy on your pocket. Obviously, it depends on every country and every place. But ultimately, you can get it back also if you are doing consistently. So if you know what you do, if you have skills as a trader, it's never going to hurt. You can always make that money back very, very easily. It's just 100 euros more or less, 120 euros in 3 months. You can get it back even if you're getting 30K of allocations and you are making 4, 5%, 6% in 3 months. You are getting it back. So it's not very hard, and it's a platform that is, I would say, really needed for retail traders like myself to be with and grow our career in a professional way instead of trying here and there things.
Yeah, I love that. I did ask for 3, but I think you've covered that many things there that you probably covered more than 3 pieces of advice anyway. So we're going to wrap up there, Vanesh. So I just want to say a massive thank you to you for jumping on and obviously chatting to me today. I'm sure, I think the great thing about this series that we're doing is we're actually handpicking the best talent that we can from the platform. And obviously for that, we have to show gratitude to you, because nobody's forced you to come on and talk to people. But the fact that you've come on, and even to you, if it's just a general chat, like you're imparting so much wisdom to people who want to be in the position that you're in, to have a great record, to have that long-term mindset, and to kind of be further down the road on the journey to becoming a successful trader. It's invaluable to everybody involved. So I just want to say a massive thank you once again for coming on and chatting to me today. I hugely appreciate it.
Thanks a lot to you and DarwinX for giving me the opportunity. I'm really appreciate that part. That, I have got somebody where I can rely on. So thanks a lot for that.
I love that, dude. I love that. Guys, if you want to check out Vanesh's Darwin, I'll leave a link below, and I'll also leave a link to all of his social media channels. So if you want to connect with him, feel free. I'm sure you don't mind that, do you, Vanesh?
All is good. All is good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed watching, and we'll see you in the next one.